I'm K. Devikavarshini from BEINCE. I'm glad to welcome you all to the very first webinar conducted by the Coding Club of PSG College of Technology, Getting Started with GitHub and Open Sources. The Coding Club of PSG College of Technology aims to provide connected learning to improve coding and the art of problem solving. I wholeheartedly thank our principal, Dr. K. Prakasan, and our Dean Placement, Dr. R. Nagarajan, for giving us this wonderful opportunity. I extend my warm welcome to our faculty advisor, Mr. Sendal Kumran. Welcome, sir. I find immense pleasure in introducing our speaker, Ms. Smile Gupta, who is a front-end engineer at Razorpay. Her area of specialization includes HTML, CSS, React, Bootstrap, JavaScript, and so on. I welcome you, ma'am. We are really thankful to you for taking the time out of your busy schedule in order to enlighten our knowledge about open sources. And lastly, I would like to welcome all the LCCs and the participants present here. Welcome, everyone. Now, I invite our speaker, Ms. Smile Gupta, to commence the webinar. Welcome, ma'am. The podium is yours.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Can somebody confirm, like in the chat, like I am audible properly?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible, ma'am.
Cool. So just give me a minute. I'll share my screen and then we'll start. Cool then. Yeah. So hi everyone. Welcome. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. So today we are going to learn about Git, GitHub, and how we can contribute to open source, and what are the various programs where you can find where you can contribute to open source. One request I would be having from you all is, if you have any doubt, please feel free to either unmute and ask the questions or drop them in the chat section. I'll happy to answer a number of questions. Since it's a online webinar, so there might be challenges, like you will be able to see, you will be seeing my screen and coding. The moment you left behind, right? Just let me know. I'll rewind it and we'll wait for you. Okay, so let me start. So, a little about me. So I work as front-end engineer in Razorpay. Razorpay is one of the startups and is a payment gateway. Cool. So firstly, it would be a very informal thing. I generally start my sessions using a disclaimer. To be honest, I'm not a very Git or GitHub expert. I'm just a front-end engineer who knows little about Git and GitHub, and I'm not just the sole owner of this content of the presentation. I have taken a lot of things from here and there. Okay. So the first question, when you see the just 1 second before we start, I have 3 prerequisites for everyone before we begin. One is that you install something called Git in your machine. So I'll share this link. So let me open it. Just a minute. Okay, so you go on this link. I'll share it in the chat section. Based upon whatever OS you have, be it be Mac, Windows, Linux, or Unix, you just download it, and it will give you this some kind of zip folder. Just open it and just install it in your machine. Just nothing you have to do. Just press next, next, next to everything. So let me share it. Okay, how will I navigate to the chat section? Any moderator, can you help me navigating to the chat section, please?
Ma'am,
Okay.
just to open that WebEx window, ma'am.
Okay. It's not, I'm not able to open it.
That one.
Okay,
Just
wait,
go and see.
here is it for chat. I found it. And I'm also providing the link of my presentation, and you can connect, you can see it, okay, side by side if you want. Every now and then, after once I complete my slide, I'll just look into the chat window. Please throw a number of questions in the chat section, okay? So let's rewind. So the first thing you need to do is, just before we start, just download this based upon your OS, be it Mac, Windows or Linux, and just click on, once it's downloaded, click on next, 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 and next, and this thing will be installed in your system. So whenever we are working with GitHub, we need something called Git in our machine. I'll tell you why in the subsequent session. Okay. Next thing is that everyone should have an account here. This is a website called github.com. Okay. Just everyone should have an account on it. If you don't have, you can connect it with your say Google, or you can just manually install it, log into it. Okay. So these are just two prerequisites from my end. Okay. You can do it in the background. So let's continue. Cool. So one thing is that before we start, please to install Git. We will play with it like side by side, but just for saving our time, like it might take 2-3 minutes, just install it. Then click or do next, 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 and install it in your machine. CSE or engineers are smart enough to install it by themselves. Okay, second thing is that you need your GitHub account, and the third thing is your favorite editor. Okay, these three things we require. So let me go next. Okay, now what would be the flow of this workshop? I'll tell you about GitHub and things on those lines. Then we will practice those concepts using various examples. And then I will tell you how you can find what is open source, how you can find projects on open source, how what are the various programs associated with open source. And in the last, if time permits, what I have done in these slides, some of the 30 slides we'll cover today, and there are some 10 bonus slides, okay, which you can try it on your own pace, and I have also attached some additional reading material. Cool. If time permits, we'll go through the bonus slides too. So I is GitHub desktop a good option? It depends upon how you want to use it. Both CLI and GitHub desktop both works fine. It's like based upon everybody's preference. Okay. If I talk about in real, okay, how people work in this industry or how people prefer in real time. So there are two things. People mostly uses something called CLI. Okay, CLI is either they can use the terminal that is available in the machine, maybe Mac or Windows, or there are a lot of tools how which we can customize our terminals. This is most preferred way, using a terminal. The other preferred way is using their code editor itself. Be like people use, if you talk about, people use this WebStrom, all the JetBrains products or VS Code. This comes with inbuilt Git support. So these are two things we need. Why do we need to install this? Because this is when it's like just having a software in our machine. That's why we need Git. Without this, we can't use Git in our system. Okay. So let me start. So first thing is that you see a word called my first rep. Now you might be wondering, what is this repo? Is this any English jargon or what is it? No. Repo is a term when we work with projects, when we work with Git and GitHub, that comes into handy. I'll give you an analogy, okay? Just before moving to the slides, just see this analogy. We live on this planet Earth, right? Everybody lives on this planet Earth. This is what is this planet Earth? This is basically, a area in which we live. Then after Earth, now it's not like the case now we will start living in roads only. No, everybody have their proper house, right? And we live in that house. Same ways, now we do coding and things on those lines. Now, where do the codes stay? One place where the codes stay, it is on our machine, right? The second place, now if you want to work with a lot of people, if you want to deploy your code to something, right? It is not possible that your code should always be remain in your machine. For example, you made a website, right? You want to show it to the entire world. How you do that? You deploy it. How we deploy it? We deploy, maybe we upload our code to some place, correct? So this is how GitHub comes into picture. Just like we live in Earth, our code lives in a place called GitHub. GitHub is just like a planet where our code lives. And it's like, now you might be thinking, is GitHub the only planet where our code lives? No. Like there in our universe, there are 9 planets: Mars, Venus, Saturn, Pluto, etc. So GitHub is not the only thing where the code lives. There can be other things also, like GitLab, Bitbucket. Okay, GitHub is very famous, this sort of thing. So this is GitHub. GitHub is nothing but a place where our code resides. And how our code resides? They resides into us by making a small house or a small home. What that home is? That home is repo. Repo is a short form for a word called repository. Okay. Is everybody clear with what is GitHub in a layman terms? Just like it is a home for our code. And how does we live in this Earth, planet Earth, by making our home? What is the home for your code? A repo. Repo is short form for repository. Okay, so let me move ahead. So let me give you a definition of GitHub. GitHub is nothing, but it's just a website. That website that allow us to use Git and create a repository online. So what is now a Git? So let me give you an example. Git is nothing but a tool, okay? A tool to version control. So what is version control? Let me give you again an analogy. Say we want to develop a software, or maybe let's talk about Windows only. When Windows came in first, we had something called Windows 95. Then there's some Windows XP. Then Windows 98 was also there, I guess. Windows Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, now Windows 11. People who have developed this software, Windows is again a software. Were they able to develop Windows 11 overnight? No, they were not. So they developed it in some small instances, right? What was there? We had an old version, 95 version, 98 version, Vista version, XP version, Windows 7 version, Windows 8 versions, Windows 10 version. These are different versions. How do we manage all these versions? We have a tool called Git. And this is the Git we downloaded. I gave you the initial link to download Git in your machine. So this is Git. Okay. So, and as I mentioned, GitHub was just like a planet, or if I talk about in technical terms, it's a website that allows us to use Git. Git is again a tool, okay, a lot of people get confused with Git and GitHub, but Git is different and GitHub is different. GitHub is a website, Git is a tool and that we installed in our machines. That's the one you installed it. Okay. And on GitHub, we can store all our projects online for free. Now, you might be thinking, what is the advantage of storing a project online? If something happens to your machine, well, how will you restore your code? You might be thinking, I'll get a hard drive. In a hard drive, I can store my code or things on those lines. That everything was an old way. Now, just like earlier, it was a time, right? We used to store our photos, or we developed our photos. Then a lot of people started saving their photos in memory cards, then pen drives. Now everything is vanishing. Everybody stores them on drive. So same way, earlier when GitHub was not used or not there, people used to store it in some hard drives, but not now. People use now GitHub. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. Okay. What is the difference between Git and a command prompt? Okay. Now, Git is something basically, it's a tool, okay? There is something called Git Bash. Okay, Git Bash is like again a terminal provided by Git. So Git is basically a tool to version control the things. Version control is like say version control meaning that we have to write. I'll talk about the commands later on. Say I want to create a repo or create a git in my system. I use a command called git init. Okay, this git init you can write it in command prompt also, but once you wrote git init in your machine, it will not execute. Try it in a Windows terminal. Write do this sometime. Write git init. Okay, so what will happen is it will say unknown command. I don't know what is this command you are even talking about. So this is a command prompt. Okay, Git is, they're very different. Git is a tool. Now, if you might be confused with something called Git Bash. Git Bash is nothing but a terminal provided by Git. Okay. Can I host a website in Git? You can't host a website on Git, but you can host websites on GitHub for free. I'll show you in the end how you can host a website on GitHub. Don't get confused. Git is a tool. Okay, Git is something that will remain in your local machine. But Git is just like a software, okay, you have installed in your machine. GitHub is a website. Yes, you can host websites in GitHub. Can we use same commands in both Linux and Windows? CLI commands, yes. Yes, you can in the both Linux and Windows. But one thing is that in Windows, the commands like cd, that doesn't work, okay? Or maybe that mkdir for making folders. That is why people generally install Git Bash. Git Bash is a terminal that comes with that same support of commands. Okay. Okay, now we were talking about what is a repo. Let's try having a practical also side by side. So I am opening this my GitHub. Okay, whenever you will log into the first time. Okay, so whenever you will log in for the first time, you will not see this all activity. You will not be able to see this repos, this or maybe this recent activities or explore repo. Explore repos you will be able to see, but not this. Why this is a lot of people are following me on GitHub and I am following a lot of people. So that is why this is just like my feed. Okay. Now this is now let's I'll answer all these questions side by side. Just give me a minute. So on click on this repo, okay, this is the same term we were talking about. Repo is not nothing but just a home for our code, right? So if I want to store a project, see this. So let me go to my profile. Just I'll give you an example more on repo. So I have created 177 repos. So these are small my projects. Okay. So every project, like just like we create different folders for different our projects, right, which we create on our system. So it is like we are creating them as small projects. So small folders, or either you term it as a house or a folder in a website. Okay. So I'll click on this new, or maybe you can click on this plus. Okay. And here you can click on this new repo. So I'll click on this. So this is my repo. Repo is nothing but a repo is a container that houses your project and its history. What do you mean by history? History is like, just like it's a smart home. Whenever anybody enters in our home, it keeps a log. Whenever somebody leaves our home, it keeps a log. So that is history. Okay. And if you will do, there are certain commands, okay, like git init. So what git init does, it creates .git folder. Let me show you. Say Flexbox. It's not available here. So I am new user to Mac myself. So whenever you will see, okay, say you have a Windows or Linux, okay, you will see something called .git folder. .git folder stores all your history. Okay. Now the question is, does git init creates an empty repo in our user path when typed in a command prompt? The answer is yes. Okay, will you demonstrate as to how to solve an issue used in a public repo? Yes, I'll do that. Okay, so let me quickly create my repo. So how you create a repo? Just here in the repo name, just add it any name. Say I'm adding demo repo 1. Okay. Anything you can give it as an optional description. Say anything you can give. It is a demo repo. You can leave it as empty also. And then we have two things. One is making a public folder and one is making a private folder. See, if you want anybody to see your code, then you can make your folder public and there is nothing confidential. And if you want uh, nobody to see your code and you want your code to be kept with you, so you create a private repo. So I am clicking a public repo because it's nothing in my folder. Generally companies they don't share their code base, so they create their repos private. Okay. Then you can create, now there are three things: add a readme file, add a git ignore file, and choose a license. Now what is a readme file? Let me give you an example. Suppose we bought a software, or maybe say we bought a Maggie packet. Okay. Now if you swap the file, swap your packet of Maggie, you will be able to see the instructions how to cook. Correct. Every eatable have it. Now same like readme is like just like the Maggie packet have instructions. This is basically our project. If somebody other person sees the project and see what is it inside, how may I run it, or if they download your project, how will they use it? So for all these reasons, we write a readme file. In readme file, we write about all the things. Okay. So I'm creating a file, a repo with the readme file. Now, second thing is called git ignore. What is this git ignore? Git ignore is basically like, I'll give you an example. So say you are making a project using React. or maybe a project which includes node modules. Node modules is something you don't need on the server. It is just required on your local level, or the files which we doesn't want that anybody should see. Say something called, we have always, when we make projects, we have environment variables. Okay, or if you're using maybe a VS Code, we always have some file called .vs code or .ds2. If there are certain files you want to restrict a user to push in your repo, we can add all the files in git ignore. Okay, I don't need any git ignore because I'm not planning to make any advanced thing and choose a licenses. License comes into picture when people make a project. Okay, when people make a project, they needed say anybody or some people to use my project, or if sometimes the projects are MIT is a certificate which anybody can use it. It is for open source. So if you want to add any license, you can click on this file also. Okay, so now if you will open your systems, it will say here, this is set to main branch as the default branch. It might see, you might see in your systems, I have configured my Git in such a way that by default it is showing me master. Okay, and you can change the settings here from here. So I'll just click on this repo. Do we need to pay to get license in GitHub? Can you please elaborate your question? GitHub doesn't require any license, but GitHub have two kind of accounts: this normal account and a pro account. Yes, for pro account you have to pay, and for normal account, no, you don't have to pay. And license is nothing. It's like, the license which was there in that repo, it is like you creating your own license, we creating our own system software, and we are providing a license of our own. That was license. Okay, so this is how we create a repo in our what we call in the GitHub. So now I have created this as the yes, pro version is free under GitHub Student Developer Pack. If you have your college email ID, right, you can apply for GitHub Student Developer Pack, and you can get a number of softwares for free, and till the date you are a student. Okay, so this is our repo. So now, since my repo was public, anybody can see it. And this was the about of my repo, and I have created a repo with a readme file. Okay, this was all about repo. Do anybody have any doubt in what is understanding the term repo? If yes, please give a shout in the message. I'll explain it again. Else I'm moving forward. I'll count till 5. Please, if you have any doubt with the word repo, let me know. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm hoping everybody is clear. So this was about repo. So let me go to the next slide. Now second thing is coming is commits. These are all the jargons that are associated with Git and GitHub. Okay. Now we have something called commits. Now what is a commit? Let me put in a very simple words. Whenever we are working on a local machine. Before we shut down our machine, we save our application, we save our project, correct? So this is something commit means. Commit is like, just like in terms of GitHub or Git, right? Saving a file is committing your file. Let me give you an example. Let me make some changes here. So this is the file in my project, that is readme.md. So let me create, I am adding a new line. Okay. So now here it is saying commit changes. Commit changes is like telling what are the changes you made. Now you might be wondering, why this is not simply saving and why they are asking me to write a commit message. So the simple answer for this is that basically there are two reasons why a person uses a Git. One is that they want to keep their project safe in a space where they can use it afterwards also. And second reason for this is like backup. Okay, second reason why people use Git or GitHub is like collaboration. Now you might be thinking, see, now from last 1.5 year pandemic is happening, and a lot of things are started opening, but IT industry is not open yet. Why? Is the work in IT industry stopped from last 1.5 years? Like people are not going to office, and how they're able to develop their projects? So the things are offline. So what people do, people have kept their all the projects in a centralized location in some websites like GitHub, then Bitbucket or GitLab. And every day people are pushing their changes to GitHub. And that's how work happens in organizations. So it ensures collaboration. So that is why I have to describe a big commit message. It's optional. It's just that it gives clarity to you and your teammates when you see these changes in future. So say added. So that is why it's recommended to give a proper commit message. Added a new line. Say nothing, anything you can give. I just click on this commit changes. Cool. And here it is adding a new. Okay. So I have saved this file or I have committed my file. That is commit. So what does commit was? Commit is like checkpoint or snapshot of the state of your repo or your project at a particular time. Okay. Do anybody have any doubt in the terms repo or commits? I'm assuming no. So let me go ahead. Now I have covered about this. Now you might be thinking, right, I wanted to add one line here. I'm adding it here. Then what if now do you really think like how big softwares are being developed? Are everybody writing one line over here in this website? Then if yes, then what is the need for that VS Code or WebStorm or maybe Golang, any other IDs? What is the use for that if people have to write it here only and things on those lines? Or every time, now one option was that adding a file, the other option is by drag and drop. Okay, so why will I every time drag a file? What if I wanted to add only one line to the file? What if 2-3 people were again working with same files? How will this all happen? Everything can't happen in this website, right? And we can manually add these things. So that is why there we have installed a tool called Git in our machine. Okay, now Git is nothing but it is just an information tracker. If I have to talk about Git in a very layman terms, it's just a content tracker who tracks your code, who tracks in what file you have made what changes. So small things like that, just like it's like a tracker or it's like what we call a security guard in our premise which keeps track like this thing has been changed, this thing has been added new, this thing has been deleted and things on those lines. Who keeps a track for it? Git. Okay. And if in technical terms I have to tell you the definition of Git is nothing but just a distributed version control system. Version control, I explained you the term meaning of the term version control, like right, like Windows 8, Windows 10, 11, they are different versions of Windows or different versions of a software. So it is a distributed version control system. Okay, this is what Git is, and any folder which uses Git, that does always have .git folder in it. .git folder, a lot of systems like Mac hides it, but it's actually there. Okay. So before jumping to some hands-on, I'll tell, since I have told it already while explaining, these are three things what Git helps in. It helps in maintaining history, like what files are changed, what are the new things added and things on those lines. It keeps us a backup and it helps in doing collaborations. So these are some things you can get things do with Git. Now the thing is that what are the things? Okay, I'll come to this branching question. So what is the thing we can't do it on GitHub? There is nothing. We can uh, add things in by maybe answering questions, bug reports, blog reports, coding, content, documentation. So the question was like, except code, what we can do on GitHub? We can do all these things on GitHub itself, and we don't need any other software for that. Okay. So now the question was this difference between master and a normal branch. So generally, see, it's like with the branching, people who don't know about branching, let me show you a quick example. If you see this, I've created a repo. Now you see something called master. Okay. Now, Ashwin asked a question, what is the difference between master and a normal branch? There is nothing called a normal branch. It's like, I'll give you an example, okay? If more than one person is working, if only one person is working, then we never need a master branch. Sorry, we never need any other branch, only one branch is enough. So what is the branch? Basically, branch is like, having code. Like, say I have my code. I'll give you an example. Let me create a branch. Say random branch. Let me create a random branch. So I'm creating it. So what does it happens is, let me show you something. See this. See this. Whenever you click on this insights, no, I have clicked like master and random branch have same code. Sometimes it happens is, why do we need even a branching? If I tell you a real world scenario, branch, this master branch or main branch, generally whenever people have, when they develop a big projects, they generally have a normal branch. We call it as a dev branch. Then we have a master branch, we have a staging branch, and we have a prod branch. So these are different sort of branches or different codes we have kept in one project. Say say I have a dev branch. Okay, any dev, maybe I'll say I am working on any module. Okay, so in that module, what I'll do, if more than many people are working, I can directly push my changes to a master branch, because a lot of people are working and there is not a surety that always my code will work. There might be some bugs or things on those lines. So what we do, we create another branch, or another branch is nothing but same code. We another instance of that code base. We make our changes and then we again merge to our master branch if everything is working fine. So that is the difference between a master branch and any other branch. Depends upon how the project is configured. Generally, like I mentioned, we have staging branch. We have a master branch where every, say, 10 developers are working in the code base. So every 10's code will be merged at master first. Okay, then after master, we might have a branch called staging. This doesn't come inbuilt with GitHub. This is something humans have, or we developers have made. We make a staging branch, we push changes from master to staging, and then that staging branch, any tester, everybody tests out. If things are working fine, we push that branch to what we call a prod branch. And once we pushed into prod branch, it our project goes live. so the so to reiterate to re-explain, there is nothing called normal branch. We just have only one branch. Earlier the time, like earlier we used to have only default branch was master branch only. We never have a concept of main branch. Okay, main branch was introduced last year only, just like they thought there was some situation where this master and the slave analogy came into picture, and they just renamed the default branch from master to main. That's it. Okay, but you got the overview idea of the master and the other branch. Let me give you a demo now. So this was my random branch. Let me add something. We are I am say I am in random branch. I'll commit my changes. Now, if I'll see this insights network. Now see, just a minute, it's loading. Let's take time. Let me go back. And now you see this random branch. If you see this readme, there is something called I am a random branch. And if I go to master, it doesn't have. That is having two branches. Okay. Now you see something. Let's take this up in a while. Okay. Till here, anybody have any doubt in what is branching, what is commit, what is this git repo? Please, if you have any doubt, let me know. I'll resolve any doubts, else I'm moving further. Okay, cool. I'm assuming nobody have doubt. So, okay. So now what we do? Okay, now I explained you the term concept of repo. I explained you the concept of what is a commit. Now I explained you the concept of branch. Let me give you an example of a branch. I have added it here. See this. So say this is my branch. This circles are what? These are versions. Like I have saved my code at this place. Then I have saved my code at this second one. Then now what happens is I wanted to build any functionality. So I want to play it around. And then if I'm confirmed and sure whether this thing will work or not, then if it will work, I'll deploy my code, or make my code live. So I'll try it on some other branch. Other branch can be a test branch also, based upon how your requirement is. So the same code which happens now will be having two instances of the same code. One will remain in the master and other might remain in any of the branch which you want. I've created a random branch. So I just showed you how to create a branch using GitHub. It can be also possible using CLI by using such commands. I'll show you in the end, if time permits, how to use these commands and create what we call create a branch. Okay. So on GitHub, you can just simply create from using by clicking on this master and random. Just add something here, say ABC. And if that branch will not be there, it will create it. So this is how branches work. Why do we need branches? When a lot of people are working together, everybody nobody wants to disturb into somebody's work until it's done. So they create their own branch, and once everything is working fine, they push the branch to master branch. So let me show you now. Now I have made a branch called random. Crossing it. So I've let me go back to insights if it might load. Yeah. Now you see, I have a master branch, this one. Okay, then I have a random branch, the below one. It is ahead of it. This was my master branch, and this branch is my ahead of my this branch. This is something I was doing some demo, or I was doing some testing. So now I want to combine both of these branches. How do we do that? So I'll click on this pull request. Pull request is like when you want to merge into somebody's code base. So I'll click on this new pull request. So I want from my random branch, it should merge to my master branch. Compare random. What is my base branch where I want both of these changes to work in master. Either we can use master or we can use main for a default branch. Main or master is no difference in that. Just like we have two brothers, Ram and Sham, both do same work. And both have different naming conventions. That is not Ram and Sham. Like say in school people call you, your full name is Ramesh, and at home people call you Ram. Okay, these are just two different names given to same thing. So that is main and master. It is up to you what you want to keep as the default branch and what not. Okay, so base branch is my master. This is what I have given the name, and the other branch is random. So I'll just click on pull request. Now, one thing you notice, create a pull request. Now, something it is that, say, he said able to merge. Now, there is something comes into that is merge conflict also. We'll talk about that also, okay? So, able to merge, see why there is no merge conflict, because I have wrote something to the next line. Conflict is like, it's like, I'll give you an example. What is conflict? Say you have a notebook, and though it's not practical, but you divided that same notebook to you and your friend. Okay. Now what happens is, I also wrote on page one, and say my friend, say Ram also wrote on page one. Now only anybody wants only one page one we have to keep. Now the teacher will decide what I wrote or what Ram wrote should come into page one. Okay, that is about merge conflicts. So this is random and base. So I'll simply click on this create a pull request, and any message you can give. So I'll click on create pull request. And from there I'll say click on merge, and now I'll simply delete this. Now if we go to settings, sorry, insights, commits network. So see, this blue color thing was my random branch. Now it has been merged to my main branch, my master branch. So that is why this thing is pointing back to here. What was this round things? This is nothing but the point where we have saved our changes. Okay. Uh, Guys, if you have any doubt till here, please let me know in the chat section. I'll be happy to answer the doubts. So till now, what the concepts which we have covered is like, what is a repo, what is commit, then what is branch, then how do we create a pull request. Okay, these are four things we have covered till now. So let's go back. What are the things we can use GitHub for? Or it's not just writing code, but a lot of time people say people plan here only on GitHub, then maybe for blogging, then people write their draft blogs on GitHub, then they do testing. Then project management. How project management happens is, what is project management? Project management is basically when we have some Kanban board sort of thing. What is a Kanban board? Let me give you an example. If you click on this project board, let me show you something. Wait, I'll show you a real-time project. See this. So there are some things like this is how project management happens. Whenever we have a project, we divide the project into small things. Okay, that might comprise of to do, then in progress, then done. Whatever it's like, this is how project management works. You can do project management here. Then you can write issues here. Then pull request is a request to merge into main file. Let me show you something so that you will be able to understand something, how it happens in real time. See this. If you see this example, we earlier had only one branch. Then here we have HTML CSS app. Then we have a main branch. Okay. Then somebody again pushed and added code into a new branch. Now they have a called feature code migration branch. Then what happens is, see from starting. Okay, I'll show you the age. It started on 10th August. This is a real-time example of a project. So somebody created another branch. This is the default branch. Okay, this whenever any code is pushed into this branch, it gets live. Okay, so any developer who wanted to make some changes, he created a new branch and pushed his code, and once he tested his code, if everything is working fine, he raised a PR. I showed you one example of PR, right? They have raised into main branch. Then again, there are more changes added in main branch itself. Then they have created one more branch called HTML CSS app. Then so I'll give you an overview. It is a small project. Initially I coded this application in HTML and CSS. Now we have migrated it to React. This is the life cycle of that project. Okay, now we have a main branch. This is some code migration cited. Then now we have not pushed these changes to the main branch or my master branch. So somebody else who wanted to work on this, they have created their own module. So somebody else created here their own module, here an own module. Once this changes, if any approver would be there, they are okay with what are the changes in this file, they'll merge to this black line, our main branch. That's how things work. Getting okay. Okay. Can you say that again? Sanjay, what concept to say exactly again? Can you please write it in the chat? I'll explain that concept again. Okay. Till the time, I'll take one more question. Is front end created in one branch and backend created in another branch and merged together? It's See, I'll tell you in a real world what happens is that we generally whenever it comes, okay, front end is created in one project and backend is created in another project. And once both the projects are deployed independently. I'll show you an example. Wait. Say I have a project called chat loop frontend. Let me open. Okay, now let me open GitHub. So the backend was created in a different project, and backend was deployed at I'll give you a little about this project. What is the start loop? This project I'm taking the example, it is a chat application. The front end is written in React and the backend is written in AWS. So what generally happens in real world is front end is created as a different project and back end is created as a different project. Front end is deployed like say that www.google.com, and backend will be deployed it in some URL. And then what happens is that URL in which backend was deployed, from there people create, backend folks create some sort of APIs. And that API from that link, okay, one link backend people provide where their project is hosted, that front end people uses in the real-time scenario. This actually happens in a full stack development. It's not the case that backend is created in one branch and front end is created in another branch. No. In one particular branch or in one particular project, only one type of stack will exist and not two different kind of stacks. As in, because front end is an independent project using different stack and backend is a different project having different stack. And see, it's not every time a case. If you want one branch you want to keep for front end and one branch you want to keep for back end, that is also possible, but there is never they are never merged together, that is for sure. Okay. What will be there in a git ignore file? Okay, let me give you an example. So in this git ignore file, let me open a project just to give you guys clarity. Yeah. So what happens is, say this is a project. Let me open the same project on GitHub. Yeah. So this is the same project. What I have done is I have pushed this entire project to GitHub. So we have something called, if you see here, what we have, this serverless.pyml file, package.json, package log.json, readme.md, git ignore, source, public, and GitHub file slash workflows. So if I click open this git ignore file, now what is there? I said that if any project, this is the root project, okay, from where I have pushed the changes to GitHub. So I said I don't want a node modules in my GitHub. So I have there in my local machine, I have a folder called node modules. So any file which we don't want that we should include in our GitHub, that we add, and that file or folder is there in our local machine, that files, name of that files we push, we add into what we call this is the node git ignore file. Okay, so you don't understand the pull request and why we branch. Okay, so why we branch? First, I'll answer this. Okay. So what happens in a real world scenario is that if you are creating your own project, okay, no, and you are the only person working in that project, you will never ever create a branch. You will always push the changes into your default branch. Default branch can be main or it can be master. But why do we create a branch? And you don't understand pull request. I'll take that up. Why do we create a branch? Let's understand this. See, I have a big branch. Let me take an example. Let me take a real-time example, okay? So I'm taking the example of this project. This is that is simply a bill book, okay? So in this project, we three people. This is the old deployment. Let me show you, okay, something cool. So this is a big project, okay? So there are three people working on this project. Me and my two teammates. Now, if being the case, I was working only on my own, then I would have never created a branch. Say three people are working. One person said, I'll create this sidebar. The other person said, I'll create this table. The third person said, I'll create this top bar. So what they will do is that we have one code base. Okay, the code present in our master branch. So what they will do, they'll create 3 instances of their code. One code that have a customer's sidebars code, one code which have the tables code, and the other code which have the header code. Okay, so say 3 people are working on that same code base and they don't want to override their changes. So take an example. You went into an exam, and in that exam, it is an exam, or maybe let's not exam. Let's take an example of a group project. Say you have your teacher gave you an assignment that is done in groups. What do? You divide the task, right? We divide the task among the all teammates, and once everybody's share of tasks has been done, we combine all the tasks and show to our teacher for submitting. Same way this happens in a real world also. If there is a big project, treat it as a group project. A lot of people are doing together. Somebody coded one part of it, the other person coded the second part of it, the third person coded the third part of it. Now at the end we want to combine them, right? Nobody want we should interfere each other's work. So that is why we create branch is nothing but you work on independent versions of your things or independent tasks, whatever you are given. Once we show it to the teacher, and if teacher approves, and we show it to the teacher once our work is done. So once our work is done, that is our master or main branch. So, and you say you are my teammate, so you and Ashwin created 2 different things, and in the end we are combining into different same one. So you will create your own branch and I'll create my own branch. That is why do we need a branch. Okay, now I'll give you one more scenario, like pushing to main. Now what happens is a lot of times when you are working in real time, you cannot push directly to the master branch. Say, let me give you a scenario. So you showed that group project to your teacher. Now the teacher will give a approval whether we can take this project to the science fair or not. If the teacher will give some more inputs, if he or she is not okay with the project, they will say, change some things in the project, and then you come fix it up, and then we can take it to the science project. Same ways, if the approver or maybe a senior engineer approves your code, and then that code goes to live to production. Okay, that is how this works. Let me give you an example of a merge conflict, and I'll explain the concept of pull request side by side. So let me go back to our project which we have created. We have created something called demo repo 1. Okay. Now I have created earlier a random branch and I have deleted it also. Let me create another branch, say random 2. And this is how you create a branch using GitHub. With CLI, you have to write some commands, but with GitHub, I am telling today, this is how you create. So if there is something called master, there is something called random 2. I'm just writing that is the name of your branch, and just click on that create branch #random 2. So now what happens is I have created if we create a new branch XYZ from existing branch ABC, and then the code present in ABC will also result in XYZ. Correct. Exactly. So now what happens is I have created a branch from master branch. Now the code that was present in master will also be contained in random 2. These are 2 different instances of one single project. Now let's do one thing. I'll show you pull request and merge conflicts side by side. So let me do one thing. Here it is now. Instead of writing this new line, I am adding a new line. Let me I am adding. Let me do something. I am updating a line, a new line. I have replaced that word updating. Create instead of writing or maybe whatever the word was, I've changed into updating. So let me click on commit changes. Now you see in my demo 2 branch, I'm writing it is a demo repo. I am updating a new line, and on my master branch it was say I am a demo repo. I am adding a new line. So we had two different things in same line. The line number has not been changed, but the wording has been changed, right? So now Natraj, I guess. Okay, I hope I'm pronouncing correctly. Now you see how we create a pull request. See, one option is that this guy gives us a yellow message to create a pull request. That is one way. Sometimes this prompt shows and sometimes it doesn't. How you create a pull request? Click on this pull request. Okay. Now click on this new pull request. Now we have two things. One is our base branch and one is our master branch. What is the base branch? Base branch is generally our master branch. Okay. Master branch is like where I want to merge my changes. Say that take that project example only. I went to this Natraj's house, and Natra I said and maybe then we have there was we three people, Ashwin, me and Natraj was in a team. Okay, so we discussed in the school that okay, these are three things we want to do it in a project, and at the end tomorrow when we will come to the school we will merge all our three project and we will show to the teacher. Okay, so where will we merge all our three or where we will add all three parts of the project? We will add at school. So that is school was our default thing. So same way master is our default. Okay, now I'll click on this master, and now I want to compare with whom? I want to compare with that random 2 branch. Okay, so that is how it happens. Now, now what happens is I was trying to create a conflict. So I tried creating a conflict by adding this updating, but GitHub automatically identified, okay, this was a new line and it is some sort of change. So let's play around with it. Let me create a pull request and say I'm creating a pull request. Let's play around more. Okay, now let me go to this and say wait, let's try to create a merge conflict time. That's what I'm doing. Okay, let me remove that line. Okay, go. Let me see if the merge conflict arises. Gets again able to merge automatically. Commit changes. Okay, I'm not able to create any sort of conflict. So generally this happens is whenever we create two branches. Okay, so what happens is sometimes their changes are there in one branch and the changes are not there in another branch. Okay, and if there is some changes added in two different branches, so when we try to merge both of them, so whenever there comes some sort of changes, some sort of differences, that differences are known as merge conflicts. And then how do we resolve them? Then we will look into the code base, we'll compare both the branches, and then we will try to resolve the conflicts. I'm not able to, that's strange thing, I was not able to create any conflict in the file, but that's how you deal with merge conflicts. Okay, so when does a merge conflict arise? When we try to merge the branches in a master branch, so then merge conflict arises. Okay, I hope I answered your question. Okay, now these were some things about Git and GitHub. Okay, let me try doing that. Okay, wait. Yes, so I made some changes in the master branch. Correct. So now I'll show you how to resolve the conflicts. So if there would be any conflicts, so I'll click on this master branch. Now it will ask. So it is asking me, this is one way to solve the conflict. Okay, let me show you. So what I did was, in the old branch we have written nothing, and in the next branch we have kept this. So how do we resolve it? If we are resolving it here, so nothing but the final output we will just add it here. Okay, so I'll click on that, mark as a result. This is how we resolve a conflict. And whenever we want to do it in a machine, so be it be any code editor, say VS Code or WebStorm, any code editor or any JetBrains tool, it will automatically tell you where there is a merge conflict, and then you can fix it. So you will have two things: accept incoming change or accept the your current change. Okay, if you have not made that change, you will always click on accept incoming change, because that might be made using different developer, and then else you create a click on accept current change if you wrote that code. I guess that's all about this branching merge conflicts. So merge conflicts arises when more than one person works on one project. Okay, so these are some ways you can use a GitHub for. Now the question is, now the next question when we talk about Git and GitHub comes is, what is open source? So let me quickly tell you, open source is nothing but any project whose code is available, readily available, and you can see the code, that is a open source project. Okay, now as I mentioned in the starting, not all projects are open source. A lot of people hide their code base, and a lot of people show them. So the people whose code you can see, right, they are known as open source projects. Okay, now okay, now the question is, why do we need a open source? So any answer, why do we need a open source? Any thoughts? You got an idea what is a open source project? So you might be thinking, that it is my code, why should I share it with the world? And I don't want to share it with anybody. Then why, if you are working in some sort of company, then you can share it with anybody, but why should I share it with any external people? I can share it with my friends, I can give them the access and things on those lines. So yes, as Kaushik mentioned, we work in teamwork when we don't have time. Then for better functionality and solving bugs for beta testing, yes. Expanding to develop or learn, new is better. Exactly, that is again one reason to improve our project, to improve the existing ones. Yes, these are some reasons why do we need an open source. The best answer, for this can be this question have n number of answers. The best answer is that it is the best way to improve our coding skill is by contributing. So let me talk about a little more open source projects. If if you search on GitHub, say please search Facebook, okay? See, this is our favorite organization, Facebook. So all these projects are open source. Anybody can see their projects. If anybody finds any issue with them, they can fix them and things on those lines. So this is all the projects are open source. Like say this, a lot of people uses React. If you see this library React, it is used by 7.3 million people, and it is not the work of only one developer. Around 1499 people have worked to contribute in this. Okay, what is about this? What are these stars shown? This is nothing but, it's like simply, if I talk, this is basically a social media platform for coders. Okay, so stars is nothing but, whenever we see somebody's post, what do we do? When we see somebody's post on Twitter, what do we do? When we see somebody's post on LinkedIn, what do we do? When we see somebody's post on Instagram, what we do? We like their post if we like them. So star is nothing but we just liked their post. We liked your code base, so that is why we are starring it. Starring is like just like we liked it. We have a reaction. And if we have any comment, say it is just like any other social media. Suppose anybody said, your code is nice, but here people don't say code is nice sort of thing. But if somebody's code have any issue, so what they do, they create a issue. See, if people found any say any problem in React, they will file a issue here, and they'll say this is the bug, or this is something, a discussion we need to do, and things on those lines. So this is nothing specific. The star is like liking the project. Okay. So this is any code who which is available readily is open source. And why do we why projects are open source? So that it's any community can get benefit from it. I'll give you more examples. Sometimes what happens is like we as students, we created any project. Okay, we need some sort of help in making some of the say I created a React project. I needed some help in doing testing, writing automated test cases for it, and I don't know how to write it. What I'll do, I'll create a issue on my repo. Okay, so how you create a issue, I'll quickly show you that. So I'll click on this issue. I click on this new issue, and here I it with a tag called help wanted. And I'll add help wanted, and I'll write my problem and my solution, and a title and my problem in explain here. And if anybody will see into my project, if they see the issues and if they see help wanted, they will actually come and help us also. And what happens is some people come, they refactor your code. That is how open source is benefiting. Open source is like benefiting each and everyone. Okay. So that is why we need an open source. Another advantage of using open sources, I'll tell you, sometimes what happens is, see, a lot of people don't get say in one is in order to crack some interviews for some unicorns, startups, or some banks, there are two ways. One is that old way of DSA, doing DSA. Other way is like if you have contributed, if you have worked or if you have done some sort of internship, right? So this open source project, when you have contributed to any open source project, when you will start contributing to some open source project, like there are a lot of open source programs which I'll talk in a few minutes. So when you will start contributing to it, what will happen is, see, what is the importance of this Git and GitHub? Why do we need it? And why this is a mandatory skill for any when you want to work in any organization, any industry. So Git and GitHub is just like I told. I showed you one real life example of the project which I was developing with me and my teammates. So we do collaborations on GitHub. We either GitHub or people use Bitbucket or GitLab. So they push the code on GitLab by making a private repo and they work on it. So by working and contributing to these open source projects, our skills will be improved. If our skills are right, and you can get into any job you want. So that's how open source projects, by contributing to open source project, help us. How? Again, I'll reiterate, it helps in getting us the knowledge about Git and GitHub. You will be shocked to see a lot of people who enter in the corporate doesn't know how to use Git and GitHub, the freshers, and they have to undergo 1 week or 2 weeks of extensive training for Git and GitHub. So that's why Git and GitHub is a must skill for any jobs. And the second thing is that you will learn development side by side by working on a real-time project. That is why we do need a open source. Okay, so now I'll quickly tell you how you can find your first issues where you can contribute. So if you see here, just click on right here, first time issues. And see here, what we call pet, what first time. Okay, so here are issues. See, 1 million issues are there. So looking for good first time issues, see this and go through them. Any issue you see you like, you just read the instruction and start contributing to it. Even you can, another example advantage, sometimes what happens is that in any other code, any other person's code, there are some sort of bugs. So we tend to fix them bugs. Why? How we will be able to fix the bugs? If we will be able to read somebody's code and we'll be able to understand them, and then we can understand the problem of that code. So that is another reason, when a person would have contributed to open source, their level of skills would have increased. As in, reading anybody's code is a talent in itself. Okay, so this is how you can find. Say if you are into this web dev, say you type React, anything you can type, and you will find 3 million issues with React. Okay, this is how you can find things. So coming next, what are the popular open source programs where you can collaborate to learn a lot of things? One is this is a lot of beginner friendly people participate in this. So what happens is, in Hacktoberfest, this comes every year in the month of October, and within the entire month of October, you have to make 4 pull requests in different people's projects. And if your pull request is merged, so you get free swags, t-shirts from DigitalOcean. Okay, anybody can participate in this. There is no criteria or no limit that you can participate or you can't. So this is one program is Hacktoberfest. So I have added all the links, all the eligibility criteria in the that speaker notes. Feel free to look it. You can save the slide and you can look it afterwards also. Okay. Now, then there is something called Anita Bjorg, Anita B. .org, what we call contributions. Okay, this is another program It can be you if you see in ETHB org, it is generally in ETHB org is associated with girls, female sort of activities, but no, anybody can contribute. Be you be the student or you be working professional, you can contribute to it. This contains contribute to open source doesn't always mean you wanted to fix some bugs only or you want to do code contributions. No, it's not the case. You can always improve documentations of somebody else's code. Do one thing today. I'll give you my GitHub handle today. After going back, what you do, see all my projects. If you find any grammatical error in my project, do one thing, create I'll show you, just click on this. Whenever you see somebody's project, what you have to do is save this, say bill, not bill book, say the start book. You click on this fork. Okay, once you click on this fork, this will it will not be, I'll not be able to fork in my own account. So just click on this fork and you will have a copy of this code in your machine or in your system. Okay. Or in your GitHub, click on this fork and do the changes. Say if you found any grammatical mistakes in this readme file, fix it, and then come back to my project and click on this pull request like the way I showed you, and then just raise a pull request and I'll see if you can make the changes. It's not required that you always make code contributions. You can start with making a readme contributions or updating documentations as a contribution also. Okay, and this organization deals with this. So it generally opens, the time is September October times. Keep a watch, this September is about to come, right? Keep a watch on their website and the social media handles and you will find it out when the it is live. Okay, now the next thing is that GSOC, everybody have a dream to go in GSOC. So one of the most eligibility criteria of any person to apply for GSOC is that you must be a student and you should be above 18 years. Okay, no working professionals can't apply for it, and it's like if you get into GSOC, it is like your paid internship. When you work on open source projects, that particular organization will pay you. So the application starts in March for GSOC. For more details, you can look into this link. Then there is another program that is just like GSOC, but it's not by Google. It's by a non-profit organization called GirlScript. So they generally they start the application in that January February times, and anybody, be it be student or working professional, can contribute to this. You then once you start contributing, you will get associated with some sort of projects on your own. Like if you're interested in web, if you're interested in mobile, from there you can look into the projects. Okay, and you can start contributing. Then another famous project, one of the again good places is Rails Girls Summer of Code. This is for girls and non-binary coders. Then its application starts in the month of March. Then we have this KD, a season of KD. Then again, it starts in December. Okay, just have a look into it. This basically what happens in season of KD is there are a lot of organizations that is connected with this. Okay, I have never personally participated in it, but I have heard about it, and then there are a lot of organizations connected with season of KD, and like say I'm not giving you an example for any organization, but you need to see about it. Say Facebook is contributing, is an organization of KD. You continuously contribute to Facebook's repo, and then they will pick among their contributors, whom to pick for the season of KD. Then we have this for Asia. Now, this is again the application starts in October. and eligibility, it's open for everybody, and these guys again gives plus swags if you do significant amount of contributions. And then the last is again, this is outreachy. This is again for girls. This is girls and underrepresented. This is basically its application opens twice a year. From one is May to August, then December to March, and the second time. And this is again just like GSOC, it's a paid program. So these are some few what we call few open source programs where you can participate and contribute to every other people. So yeah, if you have any questions still here, uh, please feel free to ask me.
We are very lucky, I guess. There is
Was somebody saying something? Okay. So these are the basic things I wanted to share with you all, and I guess we are time's up. I'll just give you quick overview about I have added some bonus slides, and I'll give you an overview how you can use these bonus slides, and then I'll head to Q&A. So whenever you will start working, I showed you one way using GitHub, how you can create a PR, how you can create a repo and things on those lines. I have just shown you using this GitHub. So there are different ways. One way is using Git Bash also. For generally, like for Windows, okay, for Windows you need a Git Bash, but for Linux or Mac you don't need a Git Bash. It will work as is only in Linux or Windows or Mac. So you install Git Bash. I've shared already the link with you how to install it. Then I've added a structure. Then two things you have to do. You have to configure with your GitHub username and email ID for telling GitHub an authorization for this. Then this is how you create a new repo. I created manually. This is how you create this mkdir is make a directory, make folder, then cd into that folder and you write git in it. Okay, then how you create your own commit, add some files, add this, just see git status, then say I have taken an example, write git add, say fruits.txt, then write git commit. Git commit is like saving. Okay, since it is in your local machine, so you have to also add one more step, that is push to a remote. So what is the remote? That GitHub repo. Okay, then you can see the git logs. There is a command called git log. This is how you can reset your commits. Just go through them. Then this is how you download or update the repos, git push and git pull. And then this is the concept of branching. What I done using GitHub, you can do it over commands also. And I have added tons of additional resources which you can go through for all the things which we have covered. And yes, once you are done, you can just open this. This is one sort of assignment I have included. And if you click on this git immersion, start git immersion, it will give you all the things which are required in the git for everybody, not just beginners to industry like type people only. All the things are added here with some sort of assignments. All the explanations are things it's given here. All the detailed how the setup is done, everything is done here. Just have a look into it. Yeah, that's pretty much from my side. If you have any questions, the thing is open. You can ask me a lot of things. Okay. Okay, I'll explain everything. Okay, I asked you to download a thing called Git. How to use that? Nothing, that's it. You just downloaded it, you installed it. Now what you need to do is, I've added some of the things in this bonus section. Okay, like this git config. Just if you are on Windows, then you open, when you click on this right click, there is a thing called open Git Bash. Okay, then once you open a Git Bash, it is like, you know, It's more on those lines. It's a terminal which we have in Linux or in Windows, where CD will also work, Git will also work, everything will work. Okay. So just whatever I did on GitHub, you can do the same in using this Git Bash also. Why I have made you to download a tool called Git is very simple reason is that now I have made a change using GitHub. Whenever you are working with big projects, do you really think every day in my day-to-day life, I'll just write it in the GitHub editor? No, I will not write. I will write it in my VS Code, and from my VS Code, I'll push the changes using that tool called Git to GitHub. Okay, so Git is a bridge between your machine and GitHub. And how you use Git, I have already added bonus slides for it. You can go through them, and if you have any doubts, you can give me you can ping me up on Twitter. My username is Smile Gupta with triple A in the back, and I'll happy to answer all the questions. Since it was just an introductory workshop, so that is why I have not covered all the how you can connect GitHub and get your local machine. I hope I answered your question. Okay. Next,
Okay, Rashini?
next,
Yes, ma'am.
next question is that how to start developing to contribute to open source, like how to understand is there any community community or like that difficulty. See, if you wanted to contribute to open source projects, one thing is that how you can contribute is that it's very to be honest, I'll not lie that contributing to open source is a cakewalk. No, it's not. If you want to contribute to open source projects, say it depends upon your niche. Say if you love web development or you love front end development, you you try to learn some things on the basics. Say I love React. Okay, I work in React only, so I will first understand the React, the basic React, how it works. Then based upon how much comfortable I am in React, then I'll start searching some of the repos which uses React and they have some issues with React with respect to React, and then I'll try to solve it. And that's how we can start contributing to open source. The best way if you want to start contributing to open source is that you see some of the documentations that is not fixed in somebody's code, you fix them. That is your contribution to open source, and slowly you start contributing with respect to code wise also. That's how you can do that. Or else I'll give you another scenarios how you can contribute to open source. You form a group with you and your 3-4 friends, collaborate within yourselves, and then what you do, you start creating the issues on your own. Then create a Kanban board, that projects thing I showed you, right? Try creating a project, add to-dos in it. There is the way you explore on your own how to automate a Kanban board using issues. That is also possible. You try doing that, then create some sort of some things which you know about your project, divide it among your friends. Okay, once that is done, there would be a lot of things you need help in some projects in your project and you don't know how to code it. You add a tag with help wanted, and maybe a lot of people will see your code and they can help you out. That is how you can contribute. That is again, you upload your small project also, right? You upload it on GitHub, anybody can see it, anybody can use it. That is again your open source contribution. For a front-end dev, is it necessary to know CSS preprocessor, or I should go with CSS framework like Tailwind or Bootstrap? No, it's not necessary to know about CSS preprocessor. It's fine. Just you should know enough basics. CSS is again just like JavaScript and Notion. You can learn it with the passage of time. If you are able to, say if you are targeting a front-end developer role, if you can write, say someday I say you write the code, you can write your own CSS for making a Facebook. If you can write it, that's more than enough CSS you need for your rest of your dev life. Which projects / certifications led you to Razorpay? Okay, so I joined Razorpay just this month itself. So how did I, led into Razorpay? I belong to a tier 3 college. Uh, there is a college in Jalandhar. Okay, so in Punjab, I belong to that. How Razorpay doesn't come in my college as such to hire people. So how did I led to Razorpay? Simple thing is that I posted my CV to Razorpay, that they have a page, careers page at Razorpay. I just added my CV over there. Then I made some sort of projects, and like I made 5 full stack projects where I only wrote the front end, I wrote the back end, and I deployed it using CI/CD. Okay, that led me to have an interview at Razorpay, and that project only um, help for me to crack the interview. Okay, how to configure Git with Sublime and VS Code and execute any program files? No, you don't need to configure your Git with Sublime or VS Code. No, it's like once the Git is installed in your machine, it will automatically started working. Install the Git on the root level. And I don't know about Sublime. I have never worked with it. But I have heard that with Git, what happens is in Sublime you have to open the terminal and then push the changes, okay, with using terminal. With VS Code it comes inbuilt with the terminal, and you don't need anything. You just simply write, if the Git is installed in your machine, simply write this and configure, just like if you are seeing my screen, let Git know who you are. Just configure with your Git account, adding your username and email, and it will start working at ease. Okay. DSA versus open source for fan companies. Okay. It depends upon what is the role you are applying for. Getting this is something I believe in, and this is true also. Getting into a fan company is not difficult if you know, or if you are expert in your skills. If you are expert in DSA, then also it's a pathway. And also if you are good in your development skills, and exceptionally good, okay, people who are exceptionally good in DSA are able to crack companies. People who are exceptionally good in development are able to crack fan companies. It's up to you, what route you want to go into. So yeah, that's for all the questions. If anybody has still any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Else that's all from my side.
Harshini?
Sir, shall I start, sir?
Yeah, yes, you can formally thank and
Okay, sir. Good evening, one and all. On behalf of our organizing team, I take immense pleasure in giving a vote of thanks on this special evening. My first and foremost sincere thanks goes to our honorable chief guest, Ms. Smile Gupta, front-end engineer at Razorpay, who is enlightening us with her knowledge. Thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation and joining us. Next, my heartfelt thanks goes to our principal, sir, and our placement dean, sir, for helping us in organizing this special session.
And I would like to extend my gratitude to Mr. Sendil Kumar Ansar, the faculty advisor of the coding club. Next, I would like to extend my special gratitude to head of all the departments and the faculty members for their valuable guidance. And also, I wish to express my gratitude to all the executive members of the coding club who worked hard to conduct this session. Last but not the least, I thank all you, my friends, for your cooperation and your patient listening. Once again, thank you everyone. Thank you very much.